I'm Jen and I'm the founder of Checkpoint, and welcome to the Checkpoint series where we tackle mental health issues using the power of video games. Today we're following on from the last episode, which was all about the representation of mental illness in games, and now I'm going to explain to you how to do it right. This episode has been adapted from the guidelines provided by Mindframe, an Australian initiative to improve the representation of mental illness on screen. Language. Language is super important. Think about the implications that certain words have and how those words have changed over time. Think about the word psycho. Think about the connotations it has. Dangerous, out of control. It's supposed to be short for psychopath, but because it could also finish psychotic, it ends up with people getting confused between the two. Another word which gets thrown around is crazy, crazed, again, out of control. The implication is unpredictability, and that's scary. A person with mental illness is still a person. They don't become their illness. A person with depression is not a depressed. So why do we do it with bipolar and with schizophrenia? Schizophrenic, manic depressive. It actually aids in recovery for people to visualize themselves as separate to their illness. They're more able to do this if they see the media do it first. Accuracy. It is absolutely okay to want to talk about this stuff and to want to do it with respect and authenticity. In fact, it's helpful to do so. When using mental illness in your story, consider whether your portrayal is accurate and think of ways you could improve this. Speak to professionals, do some research online, even talk to people who have the illness. Checkpoint offers consultation workshops where we can review scripts, narrative designs, plots and the likes, and go over them to ensure all illnesses are represented well. This looks good for the game, it helps society, and it actually helps to improve the believability of the characters and the power of the narrative itself. Purpose. Whenever you're considering featuring a social issue in any sort of fiction, it's important to ask yourself, why are you doing this? Is it to be edgy, to have social relevance, to carry a message, to act as a plot tactic, or is it because it makes the characters feel well-rounded? None of these things are necessarily right or wrong. Some you have to tread more carefully around, others it's easier to justify. If that's what you want to do artistically, that's fine. Just make sure you've sat down and considered why you're doing it and what you hope the game and the audience will gain from it. If your connotations are negative, or if there really isn't a benefit to the character being mentally ill or the setting of an asylum, then just don't do it. If you're planning to set a game in an asylum just for the fear factor, is there any other place that's scary at all? A haunted house, a spooky forest. These are as cliched as the asylum trope, but not nearly as harmful. The ironic thing is this new fad that's emerging of games being set in mental health facilities, and then the patients are the enemies, but only because they've been tested on, like that makes it any better. Stereotypes. Public opinion is moulded by what you're writing. It's a lot of responsibility, but it's easy to do properly. It's important to think about how many people in the world just have linear causative thinking. X because Y. A definitely means B. Your depression is caused by your mum not loving you. Schizophrenia definitely makes you violent. Challenge these stereotypes by completely omitting them. Empathy. Funnily enough, people with mental illness are still people. They were babies and they cried and they pooed. They were kids, they probably went to school. They explored relationships with others, romantic or otherwise, friendship, parent-child relationships. They have goals and jobs. They are people, and they are not defined by their illness any more than someone with diabetes just becomes a diabetic and can't do anything else in their life, as if needing insulin makes you incapable of existing in society. Support. Life is Strange sets the bar for this. In fact, it hits pretty much all the benchmarks in every category. It includes believable characters with a variety of strengths and weaknesses. It doesn't brush over their vulnerabilities, but it doesn't make an entire plot out of them either. For example, when Max discovers Chloe's antidepressants, she just puts them down again and doesn't even mention it. They're just there, and that's fine. The characters are lovable and believable. and there's a reason for the inclusion of all their mental health issues. Finally, the game provides help services to its players. It's super responsible and a model which should be followed. If you're going to discuss mental illness, it's vital to also provide information to help people. In regulated forms of media such as the news and TV, this is compulsory. You know, these things.
If you find yourself in any need of help for any reason, crisis support is available through Lifeline on 13 11 14.
I hope this episode of You Can't Ask That stimulates helpful conversations across Australia, and beyond that leads to decisive, effective action to reduce this rising suicide toll. If watching it does stimulate suicidal thoughts, please seek help.
These are just some guidelines that might help you if you're developing a game that talks about mental illness or features it in some way. And remember, there's more guidance on our website, checkpoint.org.au. Have you seen any interesting ways to cover mental health that haven't been mentioned? We'd love to hear from you. Please let us know in the comments, on social media, or in the Checkpoint forums. Remember, you can join our growing community with your Checkpoint membership to access merchandise, giveaways, and meetups at conventions. Plus, there's plenty more information about the world of mental health on our website, checkpoint.org.au. This show would never have been possible without the help of all the people and companies you see here. Thank you so much. And as always, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.